Well, it's 5 minutes after the top of the hour, and Donald Trump, who is leading the polls, joins us right now on the phone. Mr. Trump, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And speaking of the polls, a brand new CNN poll out this morning shows that you are surging to 32%, and Ben Carson is the closest person behind you at 19. Congratulations.
That's great.
All right, something else in the news. There's a story out today in Rolling Stone. Apparently a fellow by the name of Paul Solotaroff followed you around for a couple of days, and he writes that after the rally in New Hampshire, you all were watching the TV around the conference table on the airplane when you said this, looking at Carly Fiorina on the TV. He said, "Look at that face. Would anyone vote for that? Can you imagine that, the face of our next president? I mean, she's a woman. I'm not supposed to say bad things, but really, folks, come on. Are we serious?" So that's what they're quoting you as saying. What would you like to say about that?
Well, a few things. First of all, the pictures in the magazine were magnificent. The story turned out to be, it could have been great. There were parts of it that were great, but the author, Paul, who's a nice guy, and I think he wrote all good stuff, actually, told me just before it came out that Jan Wenner, who owns the magazine, got involved, and I think he really screwed up my story. He called me and told me that. He was embarrassed. And they said things in there that were very incorrect, things that I didn't say, but that's okay. I mean, overall, it was probably a pretty good story. The pictures, I will say this, Steve, the pictures were among the best I've ever had. That maybe is more important. Now, with that being said, probably I did say something like that about Carla. I'm talking about persona. I'm not talking about look, although when I get criticized for my hair, which isn't that bad, you've seen me, right? It's not that bad. But when I get criticized constantly by my hair, nobody does a story about, oh, isn't that terrible? They criticized Donald Trump's hair. But the fact is that I probably did say that about Carly, or something about, in a jocular manner, obviously. But if you look at Carly, and who came out, by the way, very low in the new CNN poll, but if you look at Carly, number one, she's hit me constantly, because as you know, I'm a counterpuncher, and I wouldn't even talk about it if I wasn't, but I'm a counterpuncher. And you look at her record. Now, Jeff Sonnenfeld, who's one of the most respected business people, the head of the Yale Business School, I shouldn't say that because he's Yale instead of Wharton, but that's okay. But Jeff is a very talented guy. And he rated her one of the worst CEOs virtually ever when she was at Hewlett-Packard. She destroyed jobs. She destroyed the stock price. The company went to hell. They walked her out. She got fired. And if you look at her before Hewlett-Packard, she was at a company called Lucent. That was a bigger disaster, I believe, than Hewlett-Packard. Then she ran, after she got fired from Hewlett-Packard, she ran for the Senate in California against Barbara Boxer. She was defeated soundly in a landslide. And now she's running for president. Everyone says, oh, well.
She did get 45% of the vote there, and it is a heavily Democratic state. But, Donald, what you're saying is you didn't comment about her physical appearance. You were commenting about the way she holds herself?
No, the persona. Oh. And I say that. And I say that about a lot of people. I say, look at that. Look, how does that... That's not our president. That's not going to be our president. And I was the one that said, in fact, I reported it first on your show, I said she should be on the stage because, frankly, she's doing better than Rand Paul and some of these other clowns that we have. And she should be on the stage.
Right.
And she actually said nice, but then she went right back to hitting Trump. And I guess they have to hit me because maybe that's where the money is. Who knows?
Well, here's what she said yesterday with Megyn Kelly.
I think those comments speak for themselves, and all the many, many, many thousands of voters out there that are helping me climb in the polls, yes, they're very serious. Honestly, Megyn, I'm not going to spend a single cycle wondering what Donald Trump means, but maybe, just maybe, I'm getting under his skin a little bit because I am climbing in the polls.
So what's your reaction?
Well, there's no reaction. Look, she's not getting under my skin. She's got 3% in the poll. She's possibly a nice woman. I really don't know. I'm not even sure that I ever met her. But I look at her track record. Hey, one thing about me, I built a tremendous business, some of the greatest assets anywhere in the world. I have low debt, tremendous cash flow. It's worth much more than $10 billion. And I want to put that thinking, that mind to work for the country because we have to make our country rich again and great again. We can't be great until we start making proper deals. We're getting killed by everybody. We're losing $400 billion a year with China. You look at that. I mean, you straighten some of those things out, and boy, do you all of a sudden have a different country. Carly's not going to be able to do that. And I think she may be a very nice woman, but I'm talking about her persona. I'm not talking about anything else, and her persona doesn't work.
All right. Jeb Bush went on the Stephen Colbert show a couple of nights ago to improve his persona. Apparently, they cut out the clip we're about to show. They also cut out the part where apparently we do not have the soundbite. Where we do now have the soundbite where he does a Donald Trump impression, and we want to play it for you and then get your impression of it.
Okay.
I will build a wall between the United States and Iran and make Mexico pay for it.
Okay. Yeah.
I will turn the National Mall into a luxury golf course, and China will respect that. I promise to put meatloaf on the $10 bill.
So he was saying this is how Donald Trump would say it. Your reaction to his appearance?
Well, I think he probably got suckered into that. I'm sure it's something he felt very uncomfortable. I think he's a very nice man, actually, and I think he probably got suckered into that, and that's an uncomfortable position. You know, he's not a natural entertainer, that's for sure. And, you know, they had him doing things that he just saw, and he looked very uncomfortable doing it because he understands the press, and they'll take that out of context, and they'll use that against him for the rest of his life, right? So, you know, It gets a little bit dangerous. But he was not happy doing it. He's not a natural entertainer. But
Donald,
nevertheless.
I know you say he's a nice guy, but why do you attack him so much, and now he's going back at you?
Well, I only attack because they attacked me. He attacked me. And, by the way, Carly is constantly nipping at me. You know, just nip, nip, nip. And every once in a while I have to say, hey, look, you know, she was a disaster where she was. Now she wants to be president. With Jeb, he really hit me. He took commercials. Right. And, you know, at some point, as you know, I'm self-funding my campaign, so nobody's going to be telling me what to do. I'm working for the people, believe it or not.
Donald.
I'm working for the people.
And, of course, the people are going to be able to see all the candidates, top 10 on the Republican side at the next debate. It's going to be hosted by CNN. You have written a letter to Jeff Zucker, the guy who runs CNN, and you're asking him to donate all the proceeds that CNN would get to veterans charities. Have you heard back from CNN yet regarding this?
Well, the great Roger Ailes and Fox, as you know, had 24 million people, and it's going to be plus. That number's going up rapidly as they get the final count. So they had 24 million people, which was, you know, probably more than 20 million people more than they anticipated. And frankly, I think CNN's going to have an even higher number. And you know, I'm not bragging. I refuse to say it's because of me. But every entertainment magazine said it's 100% because of me. And I said,
do you think they're going to do it?
Well, I'll tell you what. I said to them, and I think people understand, I said, I want the vets taken care of in this country. They're going to make tens of millions of dollars. And I said that CNN should do this as a public service, and they should give the money to the vets. I will give them 5 groups or 10 groups of veterans. Our veterans are treated like third-class citizens. Let CNN and all these people that hit they hit a windfall. They hit the lottery with the debates. And, you know, Fox did. Now, Fox couldn't capitalize on it because nobody thought it would get those kind of ratings other than me and a few other people. But the fact is that they should make a contribution to the vets, in my opinion.
I tell you what, as soon as CNN calls you, please get back to us. Donald Trump, thank you very much for joining us live today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Donald.